Welcome to Tuesday, the 6th day of January, 2026. After a catastrophic truck crash, trust Grant Lawson of the law firm for truck safety, board certified, nationally recognized, with millions recovered and relentless advocacy for your justice. Visit truckaccidents.com today. Slow motion changes taking place even in Yuma, Arizona. That might actually get rained on here in a bit. We're going to see this California storm system, which has been stalled out along the west coast, feeding moisture inland. Well, it's going to shear, with one piece of the storm going across the far south and the other piece going up into the Pacific Northwest. We still have this pattern change coming Thursday through Saturday, where there's actually going to be a taste of winter for some of you, more winter than you've seen in a while for a couple of days. Then we're going to have this warm up again. Kind of whiplash. High pressure is going to come into the western United States again. However, this is all part and parcel of the bigger change that's coming after that. We'll show you that and how that will play out here in a minute. No, that is not from Alaska. That's from California. John sending this in from Sierra Meadows Ranch with all the big storms that have just been spinning along the California coast. We've seen the snowpack go over 200% of average in the big key snowpack areas of the Sierra Nevada. So that's great for California and great for water users in the West, although we have suffering snowpacks elsewhere, as we know. But at least somebody's getting a lot of snow, and that would be the central and northern mountains of California. So here's California. Here's California. Got to love that state in terms of its contrast and its weather. Beautiful shot there in the Wind River Basin. No snow on the ground, but beautiful clouds. And then another beautiful shot, this time from Lubbock, Texas, of the beautiful sky and the color that you're going to see right there. Now, one thing, this particular area is going to be one location that is going to have a little taste of winter weather coming here later this week. Now, temperatures and conditions, again, favorable for more lenticular clouds here. And again, in the Wheatland, Platte County area, that's kind of like ground zero for lenticulars. Here's a beautiful shot out of western New Mexico, another area that may actually get a little bit of rain and snow here in the coming days with this weather pattern change. You can see the storm system in California is kind of breaking up, not as well defined, but here's one piece and here's this other southern piece. The southern piece right here is going to produce a little bit of weather. Well, right here, the wave that came through yesterday, bringing a little bit of mountain snow, has exited into the upper Midwest. There's yesterday's little wave that came through. Here's the shearing California storm system. So that's where the weather's going to go. But generally a zonal flow, a mild flow of air from the Pacific across the lower 48. The Arctic air is locked up in Alaska, the Northwest Territories, and the high latitudes for now. So over the course of the next 2 days, this is for today through tomorrow evening, you can see Arizona going to get wet down here in the southern counties with rain and a little bit of thunderstorm activity with that piece that's going to come across the area here and even into southwest areas of New Mexico, and some showers breaking out along the New Mexico-Texas border, but along and east of the Continental Divide, again, a lot of nothing. So this is basically the last couple of days here of the current blocking pattern. Then things are going to shift. And what you're going to see is California is going to go dry while the weather changes elsewhere. Snowfall between today, tomorrow, into tomorrow night. Then as we get into Thursday and Friday, we're going to see that low slip out of the Pacific Northwest and dive bomb south and east. The air that's coming is modified Pacific air out of the Gulf of Alaska. It's not the true Arctic air up here. That would make it very, very cold. So yes, it is going to get a lot colder, but not severely cold as this trough comes through. It's going to come through quickly. That's going to keep it from becoming a major low east of the divide. But it is going to usher in those colder temperatures and a decent slug of Pacific moisture. By Saturday, it's into the upper Midwest. That's going to funnel in some cold air into the Great Lakes region and the northeastern United States by the weekend. And then here's that high pressure ridge that's developing in behind it that will bring the warm up. Notice what's going on up here. Notice the core of the bitter cold in Alaska is centered right over the Alaska area there, but we've got area of low pressure, a lot of blue over the Aleutians. The Greenland block has shifted more towards Europe. So this is that readjustment phase. So things are readjusting. Think of this. This is maybe not the best analogy, but it's a little bit like a Control-Alt-Delete on your Windows laptop. You're kind of resetting things. This is what's happening. This doesn't look like much, but you see that little ripple right there? This is a ripple that will be followed by another ripple right here that will end up causing this high to go this way and these little ripples to carve out a trough. And you'll see this as we go forward. I've seen this a million times when we have a weather pattern realignment like this. So the precipitation with the second system, which is this one, looks like this. So as it comes through, we will have, again, this is nothing to write home about, but for areas east of the divide, oh my gosh, there's actually something on the map for eastern Colorado and Kansas, New Mexico, into the panhandle areas of Texas, into parts of Oklahoma. There's actually weather coming through, even up into northeastern areas of Wyoming. So east of the divide, there's actually something getting painted on these charts. Again, this is nothing to write home about, but it's all relative to the last several weeks of having nothing happening. And with the cold air coming in behind the system, as we get into Thursday night and into Friday and early Saturday morning, there's actually going to be a fair amount of winter weather, especially right here. When we convert that to snow, look at this. Parts of southeast Colorado, southwest Kansas, into the panhandles here. Look at New Mexico. There's going to be some wintry weather coming on in up along Interstate 90. Again, this is by no means a big storm system, but more than what we've seen in a while. And the colder weather will drop snow levels down into the mountains of Arizona, the Wasatch of Utah, little ski country Colorado getting better snow, not so much wet snow, but just exactly what they would like to see. Much colder air coming in behind the system will lead to a temperature anomaly on Friday that will be, well, as cold as it's been in a while. And notice how far deep south the cold penetrates with this system. So this is definitely out of bounds from what we've seen over the last several weeks, which indicates the change. And you can see that there will be snow going across portions of Iowa, into the western Corn Belt, then into the Great Lakes in northeastern Canada as that system swings through the course of the weekend. Might even have snow in parts of the higher elevations of Mexico with that system. So the times are a-changing. So let's take a look at the transition, this readjustment, this Control-Alt-Delete to the system. So during the course of the beginnings of next week, this high pressure ridge is going to nose in and will bring moderating temperatures after the cold front. So temperatures just go right back up again, middle of the weekend and into early next week with this Pacific flow. But what we're going to see is this area of low pressure here retrograde into the Aleutian Bering Sea area, which is going to back up this high pressure ridge, and these little ripples coming over the top of the ridge will help set into motion those changes. So this is Monday, but look what happens by Friday. Okay, we have a major readjustment. That low in Alaska has actually retrograded west off the map. It hasn't gone away, it's retrograded. And look at what the Eastern Pacific has now. A very big ridge of high pressure. That consolidates the Hudson Bay polar vortex. This is going to spin up and consolidate some very cold air up here. And if you look at where the winds aloft are coming, okay, the winds aloft are not coming out of the Pacific anymore. They're coming from over the land of the continental polar air that's going to start to move into the northern and western United States by late next week and the following weekend. When you see a ridge of this magnitude, you're going to have the opposite magnitude go this way. Notice we have the high building back up here in the Atlantic again, but it's not up into Greenland. So this is a whole different scenario. Will this happen? Well, we continue to watch a lot of consistency in the models, and we're just going to have to sit back and watch, because if the high gets cut off, or let's say the high develops here, well, that shifts everything, and that would change the entire equation. So we can't take this to the bank yet. If you look at it from a hemispheric standpoint, this is the same map, but looking at the northern hemisphere. Look at the magnitude of this high. It completely is the most dominant high in all of the northern hemisphere. So this is a big feature. And when you get a big feature like this, they can stick around for a little bit. It doesn't necessarily become an Eastern Pacific block, although it could be if it sticks around for several days. It won't be as long lasting as the Aleutians block, but we have a blocking pattern in a different situation. This is gone, the high is here. If the high goes there, we go into the fridge. So we have to just watch and see what happens. Do we have consistency in the modeling? That's really what you want to look for when you're looking at something that's 7 to 10 days out. So the European AI version, and it matches up well with its normal version, by Friday of next week has the high there. If you look at the GFS or the American model, it's saying something different, but notice the ridge axis is a little more east, and therefore the coldest core of air is more east. It's not as west. This would mean a glancing blow of cold air in the Rockies with the deep Arctic air into the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes. So subtle, but enough of a difference there that we just have to wait to see what happens. Now, if you look at just how the atmosphere works, these high pressure ridges really like to be over the water, especially when they get strong like this. Any ridge of high pressure like this over the complex terrain of British Columbia and the mountains, it's harder to maintain the high pressure ridge here. Not to say that it won't happen. So we're getting very similar solutions, but the longitudinal scale of where they end up is something that will play out. So changes are afoot. Have yourself a good Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow.